Hi, Allie.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
1 second to my audio.
Um,
What happened?
She's having some technical issues.
Okay.
can you hear us?
We can hear you, Ellie. Okay, can you guys hear me? Wonderful. Thank you for your patience.
Awesome. So should we get started then?
Yes, feel free.
Okay, so hi guys, I'm Ishita. I'll be covering the introduction about what we did in our UXR study. So this is you guys. You guys started in 2021, and since then you have tripled your registrations, and we are here to figure out how we can help you improve the website experience. So our UX research study was based on a few objectives. The first one being was to do a comparative analysis to unpack what was working for the competitors and like where we could improve. Then our second study objective was basically tearing down the Boulderthon website to figure out what's working, where we can improve in terms of navigation, in terms of usability and like content and how the tasks were oriented and such. Okay. So for this research, we used three methods. The first one being a competitive teardown, which was conducted by Vinci and Anna. And here they compared to competitors. I think it was Boston and Chicago. And they identified the best practices and what the industry standards were and how we could incorporate those into the Boulderthon website. The second one was a usability testing in which Zach and Hassan interviewed 6 participants. They were given a number of tasks to see what their pain points was and where we could improve things. And the third research study was conducted by me and Arya, where we had 5 participants. And here we wanted to figure out the navigation and the best possible navigation for the website. So we asked them to organize the cards in categories that related most to marathon runners and like your users, basically. Okay, our study had a bunch of limitations. The first one being that some of the participants had not participated in Boulderthon, so they may not be familiar with the content, like the terminology that was used on the website. And we also conducted a closed card sort. That means we gave them predefined categories. So they only had the option to relate to those. The third one being we were restricted to the desktop platform, so we could not test the users on mobile phones. And some of our users used to run marathons or were athletes earlier stages in their lives, so they may not be up to date with the current practices. Yeah. Okay.
So just to give you a real quick overview of what's coming in the upcoming slides. So Boulderthon website design makes it a little bit difficult for people to find the information on the detail pages, which means it just has lower scannability and is a little less organized. But by that, we mean that the pages have more words shown at once. So it becomes very hard for people to like quickly digest that information. And the recommendation from our end would be to use cards, drop downs, and other visual design techniques that organize information better, and just to like display it in a fashion that people can digest. But the upside to all of this is that all of the information was on the website, and that is the highlight of that's like the highlight. And if you could go next. Okay, so some of the key takeaways that we have, this one relates to scannability. So some of the runners had trouble completing the tasks just because we specifically asked them to find information and they were not able to find it on the pages they went to, although it was there. It's just a matter of them finding it. And so they found it either time consuming or they kind of lost interest and stopped halfway. So again, the recommendation here would be to just improve scalability and organization and just allow runners to like easily discover the information that's already there. And it kind of ties back into what we were talking with cards and drop downs and visual techniques. And yeah, the others will go into greater detail on those. Another key takeaway that we focused on was the registration page, because I know you mentioned that you wanted to increase registrations. So while most runners thought that the overall process was as expected, just from like a UX standpoint, we thought that it does not flow as smoothly as it could, which means that the registration process moves on to a different website, the race menu, and that caused a little bit of confusion with the racers, and they wondered if they had to create a new account, if they already had an account, or if they have to recover their password. So our recommendation to that would be to just make the whole registration flow in the same website by remembering the package that is picked and keeping all the registration flow and the branding consistent. Another key takeaway that we kind of focused on was the homepage design. And the homepage design scalability, we feel like should be expanded to the whole website. A lot of the participants that we interviewed absolutely loved the website. They thought that it was very professional, very scannable, and they loved that it gave them that local feel that I know you wanted to like resonate with a lot of your users. And they liked it because of Boulder and just the videos.
So before we now that we've kind of gone over some of the key takeaways, we kind of want to go more in depth about what other insights that we had. This is kind of like a general overview, just to like keep it really, really easy and like focused. So we all thought that Boulderthon, as compared to these bigger platforms, actually does a great job when it comes to your website. I think that it was probably overall, it was the best out of all of them. As you can see, we've listed them as an A, B, or C. So essentially that means that an A is like an easy to use, B is like it needs improvement, and C is like it's difficult to use. So as we go through these, there's 5 different sections that we're kind of gonna go over, and these are the 5 different user flows, essentially. The first is registration, second is local field, third is navigation, and fourth is task 1, which is finding the starting line and parking, and task 2 was information on kids runs. Those tasks were done in usability testing by, I believe, Zach and Huston. So start off with registration.
Yeah, so I'll just go a little bit more in detail into what we meant by registration. So this is with respect to selection consistency. So in the previous page, the participants would select whichever the race that they wanted, but then once they came onto this page on race menus, it did not remember what they had selected, and they thought that that was a little bit frustrating, that they already selected and then they were not, and then that the website did not remember that. And we have a quote from a user saying that is what they expected. Anna, you can go next. And more specifically with the race menu branding, they thought that it took them to a completely different website because the colors and the branding changed. And some of the participants expressed a little bit of a disliking to creating new account, and they thought that it took them completely out of the flow. And they were not unsure if it is still tied to Boulderthon or not. And we also have a code to support that from a user. So you can see we are comparing the registration flow with the Chicago Marathon and the Boston Marathon. While they are difficult to use, so with the Boston Marathon, there currently is no way to register directly, but there is a way that they can get more information. And I think some of the users mentioned that they want to learn more before they outright register. And it also is more easier to scan. And the Chicago Marathon makes it easy to navigate and provides more information. And again, they don't have like an in-depth registration process too. So that way the Boulderthon is doing great so far. And in terms of the actual Boulderthon page, we feel like it just needs a little bit of improvement. While the register button is very clearly visible and easy to find, and that's what a lot of our participants absolutely liked about it, that they knew where to go and register. On the other hand, the register page we felt was not so great to scan, and was a little bit difficult for the runners to select which race they wanted to be a part of, and it was not immediately apparent to them when we asked them to do these tasks.
So going on to that local feel that you were talking about, Ali, we found that Boulderthon's website stands out in terms of local feel because of the photography and videos that display Boulder, and all of the different aspects as well, including the community impact and the local businesses. We're going to go a little bit more into that in the teardown. Compared to Boston and Chicago, you can really see the local feel of the Boulderthon site. When I was exploring these 2 sites, there was really nothing that I could find in terms of what to do in Chicago, like things that are like local to it, that kind of stuff. And Boulderthon does a wonderful job of that and really highlighting the local community. And I think it's a very distinct local feel. So I think that's something that's wonderful, and Boulderthon is doing very, very well.
All right, so I'm gonna take over the navigation. Anna, you can go next. Yeah. So we basically did a card sort in which we used a platform called UX Metrics, and we took a group of 5 people who have been runners or track stars, and we gave them options, which we took from the competitor websites, and we gave them the sub-menu options, which we took from the Boulderthon websites, and we told them to place it in a certain manner in which they feel like what belongs to which subcategory. And they had the task to just place the flow so that we get a deeper idea of how the information architecture should be, or how the flow of the architecture should be. And so basically what we did was we categorized it in 5 categories. So we have the race, we have the race information, the about, the get involved, and running programs. And under the races, you have your marathon, your kids run, your half marathon, your 10K, your 5K, your awards and prizes. Under the race information, people wanted to see key information, start and finish maps, course maps, results and info, and frequently asked questions. And about, they wanted to see a little bit about the race, the history of the race, the related news articles and media coverage, your hotels, like where they can stay, where they can lodge in while they are running, the streakers, your results and photos, your race information, and the race reviews. In Get Involved, they wanted to see the partners, how the race impacts community, and the volunteers who make the race what it is. And in running programs, they wanted to see the official training programs, the elite programs, the student programs, the corporate programs, and the challenges. So the key takeaways which we concluded when we did the navigation breakdown is our insight was that the navigation menu has way too many options, making it a bit overwhelming for the users because a lot of options are provided, so they might tend to get overwhelmed. And most of the users found certain menu titles confusing, like challenges and streakers, specifically streakers, because it's not a very conventional word. So our recommendation would be align the navigation of the Boulderthon website with the navigation of other marathon websites, in which, as I said, like it should include like the 5 categories, which I included before. And as I said before, Hannah, you might want to go back.
Sorry, my bad.
As we said before, like we use UX metrics, and so the average, it took like one person average 3 to 4 minutes to complete the survey, and these were our results. And as you can see, the agreement score and the way that we have placed the menu option right now, people tend to agree with it, with most of our stats being 100% and some of them being 80%. And with navigation, as we said, we did, Anna and Vinci did like a teardown, and we found out that Boston Marathon, it is just difficult to use navigation-wise. People, because so many options are provided, it creates confusion on where to look for information, and it overwhelms users. And an increased number of interactions and drop-downs makes it difficult for users to use the site and find information that they are looking for. And when it comes to Chicago Marathon, it is very simplified. It is easy on the eyes. As you can see, there are pointers and there are like sub pointers. So people exactly know where to navigate, and they know that there is a drop down, as it is, given by a cursor drop down. So they know, they're familiar with that. So Chicago Marathon is comparatively easier to use navigation wise, the website that. And for Boulderthon, so what we came across as our conclusions were all necessary information is present on the navigation bar. So that is very good. Users are not able to relate to the categories, as we mentioned before, like the challenges and the streakers mentioned in the navigation insights. There is an opportunity to improve accessibility with the text and background colors to make it easier for people with visibility constraints, and to assign the logo to redirect to the homepage to align with the convention of the website.
All right, so I'll be doing task 1, which was in the usability study. So basically we gave them a prompt. We said that, you're a runner that wants to run the half marathon, but you need to find out all the information to find the race, park at the location, and get to the starting line. And then please find the information you need on the website. So, unfortunately, almost all of the participants did not succeed in finding all of this information to get to the race, park, and use the shuttle. Because the information on the races page was not easily scannable and kind of too wordy. So we have a quote, for example, and you can see a screenshot of the page on the left, kind of what we mean. There's a lot of words there, it's small text. One of the participants said they tried to find the parking information on the race page, but they didn't find it there, and then went on to the course map and was looking for a logo that indicated parking, and they couldn't find it. Specifically, some of the participants thought that the information was on the FAQ page, but they had trouble finding it because they couldn't sort through all the questions efficiently. And one of the users said that it has way too many questions and they wish it was easier to scan through. Some of the participants looked on the respective race page, but they couldn't find the information either because they stopped scrolling earlier and missed it when they scrolled down. And in contrast, the Boston Marathon has these easy to use cards for their information that kind of chunks the information into different sections and makes it easier to find the information. The Boston Marathon also has similar problems to Boulderthon where it's difficult to scan. So we recommend, so Boulderthon, just in the teardown process, we confirmed with the usability insights that it was kind of difficult to quickly look through and scan. And again, these are the cards for the Boston Marathon that we think might make sense for you guys to adopt something similar. So there's this option, or on the next slide, something that is often done, especially for FAQ pages, are drop downs. So this screenshot is a screenshot of one of Amazon's FAQ pages. You can see that rather than having all of the questions written out, so you have to scan through all of them, it makes it easier to find each individual question. And then once you find that the question is related to the answer that you're trying to get, you can click on that little arrow and it will open up.
For our second task, we asked the participants to sort of have this flow where they are the parent of a child and that they know that Boulderthon has a race for kids and they want to find out the distance of the race for their child, and they also want to find out if they can run with their child because they obviously don't want them to run by themselves. Yeah. So what we found out was that almost all participants, they were not able to clearly find out or know from the information provided that they could run along with their kids, and for no extra charge at that, because the race page that provides the information on the kids run was too wordy, and a lot of the relevant information was not quite obvious on the page. Again, then almost all participants thought that the description that they had alongside the race that they had selected on the registration page would give them all the information that they needed, because that is where they thought they could verify all the information about any respective races that they were trying to get through. And we also have a supporting quote from one of the participants that reflect on the same sentiment.
Thank you so much.
We just wanted to say thank you so much for being so patient with us and being so open and providing us really all the information that we needed, and just being a helping hand through all of this. It was really fun to do this project.
project. I think it was one of the most fun projects we've had through the semester. So thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, first of all. And I just wanted to say you all did a really, really great job. Transparently, we gave you guys the old website that we have actually been updating ourselves. And so it was really great to see that you hit on all of the points that we have been working on. So the scannability, the integration of the registration into the race website, the simplification of both the tabs at the top and the pages themselves. So I just want to say great job, guys. And you have had the same skills that our team has been working on. So we really appreciate your second level of insight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We just kind of wanted to open it up to any Q&A that you might have. So any questions that you would want answered or anything like that.
I was just wondering about the sample size of the participants that you had run through the examples.
Yeah, we had, you mean the tasks? We had 6 people going through the usability tasks. And we've learned that that is usually a pretty good sample size for usability and will uncover most of the issues that that arise in a website.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think we had a good spread of participants in terms of age, in terms of gender, and in terms of location. Some of them were like, I think a couple of them that you provided were from Boulder, but the others we kind of spaced it out. We caught hold of, I think, 2 participants who actually ran the Boston Marathon. And I think one of our participants was from Jersey. So they are accustomed to running these pretty big marathons.
Great. How did you recruit these participants?
We actually had access to a website called User Interviews that was provided by our professor. So we just recruited them based on a few questions that we gave them, and just to filter them out. And we picked the participants that we thought were most relevant.
Yeah, they have a panel of about 2.5 million people, and in our screener, we asked them like a decoy question about like what their hobbies are to make sure that they are a runner. And then we asked them about like how many marathons they've run recently. And we screen them in based on those types of questions.
Wonderful. And I'm just wondering about what was each of your favorite parts of the project and which did you work most with?
I think for me, I would say the part that me and Anna worked on, which was the teardown, which basically is a competitive analysis, is something that was really, really interesting to me because we've done those a lot. I personally do them a lot when I work on any sort of UI UX project. I really like doing those. They give a very, very detailed insight on the problem space itself. So I think for me, that was the best part.
I'd have to agree with Vinny on that one. I started actually using the same methodology for my work. And so this one was just kind of like reinforcing like that kind of like structure for it. And, you know, that it was just so much fun to do that.
My favorite was doing everyone paired up in twos. So Austin and I did the usability study, and that was my favorite. We've been doing that for other work as well, but it was great to do that for Boulderthon.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Zach. It's just that sometimes the insights that you get out of an interview are just so nuanced and just relate back to the real world so very well. And just getting to hear from all of these participants as to what their take is, and kind of either agree with our hypothesis or either challenge that, and how it kind of tied in with the teardown was just amazing. And yeah, I just absolutely enjoyed interviewing the participants.
And yeah, for me and Ishita, we did the card sort, and it was a closed card sort. So basically, we provided them the options, and I wasn't particularly familiar with card sort. I mean, I learned so much like with Ishita, and it is so fascinating to see that, you know, whatever results we got aligned with the interview and whatever the interviews that Zach and Hassan took, and you know, so it is fascinating to see that even if you don't see the person, because we couldn't see the person in a card sort and they could. So it was just fascinating to see that, even if we can't see the person or you see the person, everything just aligns when, things are done with a particular methodology using UX.
Yeah, I think we got to explore like a bunch of methodologies and like how we integrated all of our insights together and like finally had something that made sense overall. So I think that process was pretty nice because this is like the first UXR client project that I did or I've ever done. And yeah, it was nice to see that everything was very conclusive and comprehensive. And yeah. Okay.
Wonderful. Does anyone else have any questions for me while I'm on?
Just I don't have a question, but I would absolutely love to see the new website that you're working on now that you mentioned it. And yeah, we're just very excited to have given you all of these insights, and they're backed by data. And yeah, we feel like we've actually contributed to the business in some way, and that just excites me so much.
Yeah, we would definitely like to take that. Yeah.
I'm
Do
happy
you,
to
and
once it's ready.
yeah. Is there like in a professional sense, how would you start the process of integrating the insights or the changes for your new website if you were doing that?
So in this situation, we started completely from scratch because there was so much we wanted to change. We obviously took the same information and concepts, but we completed just a brand new website, and that gave us the ability to integrate the registration so that we didn't have to go off to that separate platform. It gave us the opportunity to add in some carousels, some of those text boxes, to make it more scannable. I think that if we hadn't been already updated on our website, what we would have done is probably just taken all of the information from your presentation and created a spreadsheet and a checklist of, okay, this is what we want to change here, here, and here. I think that could also be a really great area if any of you ever do this in the future with your career, to give your customers a really great flow and spreadsheet and plan of action. So yeah, that's how we went about the process. And then we just have basically a page of to-dos. And we have different people who check off different pages, and we go through the spreadsheet and check off everything before we publish. And so that could be super helpful for you guys as well in the future.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else have any other questions or comments?
I don't really have any questions. We will send this off to you as well, just so that way you guys can have it.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking out the time for us during the day.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ali.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
This
so
was
much.
amazing.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Right.
Have a great day.
Wait, how do I stop recording? Oh, shit. We don't say anything yet.